Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Hello everybody, I hope you can hear me. This is Dr. Lesley Phillips on Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. Anyway, welcome to the show. If this is the first time that you've tuned into this show, let me tell you a little bit about it. The show it's about metaphysics and spirituality. This week we're actually going to do one of the listeners' requests, which is to have a show about telepathy. And I have one of my quizzes for you this evening. It's a telepathy quiz. So if you're curious whether that is an intuitive ability that you might have, stay tuned, because I'm going to give you some signs and examples that you might do. So what is telepathy? And I'll start by giving you a little bit of an explanation. You know, telepathy is actually the ability to communicate without the spoken word and without body signals or sign language. So it's non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication. That's telepathy. And, you know, it's not only the realms of science fiction and Dr. Spock, it's a true thing. And there's even been actually quite a lot of scientific studies, especially, both in humans and in plants and in animals, because telepathy is actually how animals communicate. And there's also a form of telepathy that they have demonstrated in plants as well. So, are you ready? Let's find out if you might have the gift of telepathy. So, sign number 1. Have you ever been able to tell what somebody else was thinking? Have you ever had that experience where you think you have a thought at the exact same time that somebody else does? That can be an example of telepathy. So if you answered yes to that, you may well have been experiencing your telepathy. Sign number 2. Do you have a habit of voicing what other people are thinking? All right, so you say something and then somebody else will say, well, I was just thinking that. That's another sign of telepathy. So being able to tell what someone else is thinking, having a thought the same time as somebody close to you, or voicing other people's opinions. And another sign is, are you good at nonverbal communication? Can you easily understand your pets and respond to their needs and vice versa? If you answered yes to that, that might also mean that you are communicating with your pets telepathically. And actually a lot of animal communicators, this is what they do. They're able to communicate with the animals they're working with on a telepathic level. And then if you think about some other beings that don't use language, what about babies? Are you good with babies? Do you have a strong instinct about their needs? Well, it could well be that you are also able to communicate with these little beings using telepathy. And of course, you know, telepathy can be a great gift. For example, if you're good at helping people who are tongue-tied express what they want to say, you could be using your telepathy to intuitively receive the information that they're having trouble expressing and help them out. But there is a dark side. So here's another sign that you're experiencing telepathy. Have you ever had thoughts that seem alien, or impulses to do something completely out of character? Well, it could be that you are picking up some external thoughts and they are not benevolent or helpful. And if you don't realize that they're foreign to you and not yours, you could end up acting on them. Here's another one. Do you have a depth of understanding of others that most people don't seem to share? I mean, there are a number of intuitive abilities that could be due to, but telepathy is one of them. Is it, here we are, here's a bit of a Machiavellian one. Is it easy for you to influence or persuade other people about your perspective? It may be that you're transferring your thoughts in an attempt to control them. Oh. Can you read between the lines when someone's talking to you or when they're telling a lie? Because, and this happens very often, actually, because whether we know it or not, and whether we accept it or not, we're actually giving off telepathic signals all the time. And, lying is a common thing, even if it's a little like why. I think there have been studies that show that people do it an enormous number of times a day. But if you are telepathically open, you can have somebody talking to you and saying one thing to your face out loud using language. But if it's a lie, of course, those telepathic signals will be telling the truth. And so you receive mixed messages. So when you get that uncanny feeling that this person's not telling me the truth, it could be that you are telepathically picking up on an underlying message, which is actually more close to the truth than what they are saying. Now, here's another good one. Do you enjoy speaking or broadcasting to large groups of people? If that sounds like you, it may very well may be that you have this gift of telepathy. And I'll give you a bit of a broader example of that, because before I was a radio show host myself, I was interviewed a lot on the radio because I'd written a book. And I had about 50 different radio interviews. And so I got to know a lot of radio hosts. And, one of my specialties is helping people understand what their intuitive abilities are and helping them figure out their unique profile of intuitive abilities. And so I had the opportunity to do that for a number of different radio hosts. And one thing that I found that they all had in common was that they all had a high degree or a high focus on telepathy, and especially a particular type of telepathy, which is called broadband telepathy. So there's two types. One is narrowband and another is broadband. And the narrowband telepathy is useful for communicating with individuals on a one-on-one basis. But the broadband telepathy is really, really useful for communicating with large groups of people. And so that's where people who are in the media, or presenting to large groups of people, that's the way that they're using it. Because it gives you, words can only contain so much information. And words are actually quite limited. And think of it this way. If I say the word apple, well, clearly it means apple. If I was to show you a symbol, which is not a word, of an apple, I could convey more information in that symbol by what the apple looks like. So, for example, if the apple had a bite taken out of it, it might mean something different than if there was a worm coming out of a hole in the apple, or if it was being held by a witch, which would be like a poison apple, or if it was bitten down to the core. There are so many meanings that you could interpret depending on what the picture or symbol of an apple that you are shown. And then if we take that a step further, in communicating telepathically to groups of people, imagine that everyone in the audience is on a different wavelength. And not everyone is matching at the same frequency. What telepathic communication allows you to do is reach everybody on their own frequency. And so it gives you a greater capacity to communicate with larger groups of people and have them understand you. So, if you enjoy speaking and broadcasting to large groups of people, then broadband telepathy could be an ability that you have. Now let me see. Are you good at picking up the consensus in a room of people who've been debating about something? Well, again, there could be a few different intuitive abilities that could account for that, but telepathy certainly is one of them. And maybe a couple more here. Can you tune into loved ones who are far away and instinctively know how they are? Well, once again, that could be telepathy. So I hope that's given you an idea about telepathy and what it is and how it can be used. I think well, let me tell you a little story of my own, just to demonstrate animal communication. When I was growing up, I had a pet cat, and one night I was lying in bed and I couldn't sleep. I felt really disturbed, and I kept seeing this picture that my cat's leg was swollen up, and I just couldn't settle down, so I went downstairs and opened the door, because this was in England and the cats are allowed to go outside in England. And so I shouted for the cat to come, and eventually she came running and she looked perfectly fine. And so I was like, well, I must have imagined it then. And then I realised that she was limping. And then I realised that the same leg that I'd kept seeing being all swollen up was actually, what she'd done is she got it caught through her collar. And so she'd been sending out distress signals about her leg, and I had picked up on them. So that's a very simple example of animal communication. And I think I shared an example of plant communication the other week, and I'll use the same example, although there are other ones. They've done some scientific research where they've had some plants in a room, and then they've had students come into the room and behave in different ways. And one of the students has a pair of scissors, and they've got two sets of plants, so room A and room B. And the one with a pair of scissors comes into room A and chops some leaves off the plants in that room. And the plants are all wired up, and they're kind of screaming, if plants can scream at this point. Then they take those same students and they go into room B, where they've never been before, and when the student who cut up the plants in room A enters the room, the plants go crazy. So how do they know? How do they know that that was the person that cut the plants up? Some form of telepathy is the answer to that. All right, so if you're interested in telepathy, if you've got some of your own stories about telepathy that you would like to share with us, then please do give us a call. The phone number here is 604 504 7441, extension 4142. And of course, we'd love you to call in, but if you're a bit shy and you don't want to be on air, then you could also email, and the email address is info@drlesleyphillips.com, info@drlesleyphillips.com, and once again it's 604 504 7441, extension 4142. We'll be taking your calls after the break. And once again, you're listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley, live. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips and I am your host. So this is the part of the show that we take your calls. And I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of the show, but I'm a professional intuitive, and so you can call about anything that you want me to look at for you and get some information intuitively. And you can call on tonight's subject, or anything else that you want to. Hello?
Hello, Dr. Lesley.
Hi.
I have an email question for you from Micah, and it's on spirit guides, actually. And he asks, what can you tell me of an entity named Baha, that's spelled B-A-H-A, who is always with me? And that's from Micah.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Thanks. All right, so let's take a look at that question for Micah. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I'll explain a little bit how I do this. I don't use, people imagine that someone who's an intuitive or a psychic is somebody who uses tarot cards or something like that. That's not what I do. Every single human being is intuitive. Every single human being has intuitive senses. And I just have spent some time training myself to remember how to do this. So it's not something that's special to me. And it's really, we all have eyes and we can see, we have ears and we can hear. We also have intuitive senses that you can learn to tune into as easily as you can see and you can hear. And that's really what I do. I go into a slightly altered state of consciousness so that I can just tune out the signals of the physical world and tune into the more subtle signals of the intuitive or spiritual world. And I'm going to do that now for the person who has written in with their question. So bear with me a moment. I'm going to tune into their energy. And it just takes me a moment to do this, and it really doesn't matter where they are. They don't have to be sitting next to me. They can be the other side of the planet, because this is all based on energy. So I'm tuning in to our friend Micah and taking a look at what's going on with respect to this spirit guide that he knows the name of and calls Baha. And what can I tell him about this being called Baha? So, the first thing that comes up when I look at you and I look at your energy field, Micah, is that I'm seeing the being, but before I talk about the being, I'm being really guided to look at your third chakra. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's an energy center that exists in the solar plexus. So throughout our energy field, we have these energy vortices and they're channels for spiritual information. Different ones channel different types of spiritual information, and this one that's in the solar plexus contains your information on your energy distribution, but also on your out-of-body or astral experiences. And so I'm seeing that there's a lot of information stored in your third chakra that relates to out-of-body experiences and astral experiences that you have been sharing with this particular being. So it looks like when you are asleep or traveling outside of your body. I don't know much about you, Micah, but for example, shamans, this is a thing that shamans do. They travel outside of their bodies consciously. And so I'm seeing that you're having a lot of interaction with this being when you're out of your body, perhaps when you're asleep at night. And the first thing that comes up is that, well, it's kind of interesting. It's like you're not cleaning out your closet. So it looks like some of those experiences they're just building up inside your field and not being processed and let go of. So it's a bit like stuffing more and more things into your cupboard and not clearing them out. So I might give you a hand, if that's okay with you. I'll just check in that it is. and just give you a little healing there. And as I do that, I'll see if I can get some information about... So it looks like this being is, well, they look like they're partly focused on the earth plane and partly focused in other realities. And one of the things that they're working with you on and teaching you about is some non-physical realities. And it looks like they are very interested actually in teaching you about manifestation. So it looks like when you're having your astral experiences and your astral encounters with this guide, that it's kind of helping you to create experiences where you can learn about how things are manifested. And it's kind of interesting because on the astral plane, things are manifested instantly. On the physical plane, it takes time for the physical world to catch up with the spiritual manifestation, which is instant. So it looks like it's sort of like almost like he's a teacher for you on the astral plane, and you're playing around with manifestation and learning about how energy follows thoughts and how you create your reality with your thoughts. And by working with you on the astral plane, this guide is able to sort of demonstrate and draw your attention to instantly how your thoughts impact your reality. So, and we've all had this experience when you're in a dream. What if you're suddenly in the middle of one dream scenario and you have a thought about being somewhere else, pop, you're instantly there. Or you have a thought about, you could instantly manifest a cup of tea if you wanted to, or whatever it was. Energy follows thought, and it happens instantly on the astral plane because it doesn't follow the same laws of physical reality. And it looks like you're wanting to bring all of that information on manifestation into your body, because it looks like you're really wanting to incorporate and operate from the perspective of consciously creating your reality. And so the short answer to the question, I'm giving quite a long one, is it looks like it's a manifestation guide. It looks like you're doing a lot of work together on the astral plane in the out-of-body state, and you're using that as a playground to learn about it. Then you're bringing that information into your physical body because you're wanting to operate from the newly learned information in physical reality. And the problem is that you're not processing it quickly enough. You're kind of downloading a bit too much, a bit too fast. So that gives you some information on this guide, Baha. I hope that helps, Micah. And of course, you're listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. You can email if you want on info@drlesleyphillips.com. You can also write to us and suggest show topics as well in the week, and we do our best to cover what you request. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Lesley.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. I have a question from Riley. And Riley wants to know, how can I unblock my highest expression in life? Now, again, that's from Riley.
Great, thank you. How can I unblock my highest expression in life? Okay. Well, we will take a look at that. I'm going to use the same technique. So I'm going to go back into my trance and tune in this time to Riley's energy. And I'm doing that now. So how can I unblock my highest expression in life? Gosh, and I can see actually what you're talking about, Riley. So, again, oh gosh, I feel compelled to do some healing work this evening. So, again, I'll just check in with you on a spiritual level, whether you'd be open to that. And it looks like you are. So the first thing I'm going to do is help you get grounded. So you didn't look very grounded. For anyone who listens to the show on a regular basis, you hear me talk about grounding a lot, because it's just the most fantastic spiritual tool that you can ever know. And if it's the only thing you ever learn how to do in your whole life, you can change your whole life, you can heal your whole life, and you can take charge of your whole life by knowing this one thing. And basically what you do is you visualize a flow of energy, or you create a flow of energy from near the base of your spine to the center of the earth. So I'm just giving Riley some assistance in doing that right now, because if you're blocked up, it's a good idea to have a way of releasing whatever is blocking you up. And so the grounding cord works perfectly for that. So we're giving Riley a grounding cord. And the other thing that I'm picking up on Riley, there seems to be a common theme coming up tonight, which is being backed up with stuff. Because I'm seeing that you're also backed up with stuff, and looks like a lot of it is foreign energy. And it looks like another thing that you're doing, Riley, because you're feeling like you're blocked, and you're wanting to unblock yourself, and you're really wanting your answers, you're kind of opening yourself up really wide. And what that's doing is it's allowing an influx of, again, an enormous amount of energy, and some of it's foreign energy and doesn't belong in your space. So, and I'll give you a hand just working that a little differently in your system. And while I'm doing that, this is another common thing I talk about, but there's a lot of misconceptions out there about so much of this stuff. And one of the misconceptions from a lot of the New Age seekers and so on is that to evolve spiritually, the process has to do with you opening your chakras. And so they will go around opening up all their chakras. And it's actually, the truth is, what it's more about is learning how to have mastery over your energy system, so that you can consciously open and control, close, open, adjust how open they are at will, and by doing that, alter your reality in the way that you wish to. So, with that preamble, what Riley's doing, I think unconsciously actually, is your crown chakra, which is the one on the top of your head, opening it really wide. And that's the one where we access our inner wisdom and where we connect to our God. And it's very common for people who feel a bit lost and are looking for answers to sort of just unconsciously open up, because they're like, I need my information. But if you open it up too wide, it leaves you vulnerable. So we're giving you a hand so that it's just enough to bring your information and your energy into your body. And so what's unblocking your highest expression in life is, I'd say it's rather your energy and information was being masked by an excess of foreign information, of foreign energy and information. And so the answer for you is to learn to let go of foreign energy, to learn to own your space for yourself, so that you can be clear about your information, so that you can vibrate at your frequency and not be carrying around, heavier foreign energies in your field. So that's the answer, and I'm seeing that there's a little more left here. And again, it has to do with this crown chakra, this energy center on the top of your head, which is a conduit to your spiritual information. It does look like there is a block there, and it's interesting. And the block has to do with, if I allow myself to know what I know, if I allow myself to have all my information, what will I do with that power? So there's some fear of your own power and your own information. And I'm seeing that some of it might come from a past lifetime, and some of it looks like it comes from your childhood, and looks like you might have had a fairly controlling father in your childhood who controlled people by, at that crown chakra level of, well, I'm the adult, I know best, and I know what's best for you. And so yeah, it sort of set you up for being afraid of being in your knowing, because that person in their knowing incited fear. But I'm also seeing there's a past life where you've been in the power of your knowing and used it to control others. And this is one of the challenges of opening the crown chakra, by the way, everybody, is that and is that once you become aware of how much you know, the temptation is to want to tell everyone else how much you know, and also to believe that what you know is the ultimate right information. And of course it isn't. It's just your information, and everyone else has their own ability to connect with their own information, just like you do. But you know, when you get these situations where gurus go completely off the rails, make everyone, drink the Kool-Aid, or commit mass suicide, or whatever it is, it's usually an out-of-control crown chakra where they've, gone on a power kick with respect to their knowingness. So, that said, we've given you a healing, Riley. There was a few things going on. Your fear of your own, knowing your own information and your own power, and how powerful you are when you know your own information, as well as foreign energy. So I'm going to get the phone. Hello, you're in the studio with Dr. Lesley.
Hi, Dr. Lesley. It's Lisa calling.
Hello.
Hi. I have a question. I seem to have a lot of people who have passed that are around me, family, and I'd like to ask you what it is what information they have for me, because I feel them there, but I can't pick up the information.
Okay, and do you want to tell me who the people are, and I'll see if I can tune into them one by one?
One is my mom. Her name is Ella.
Yeah.
Another is my dad. His name is Guy.
Yeah.
And my Nana. Her name is Florence. Uncles and numerous cousins and aunts.
Okay.
They seem to be around a lot lately.
All right. Well, so let's take a look, and you just get a feeling that they're there. Is that what happens?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, what happens?
Yeah.
Just a lot of repeating numbers, and just an absolute feeling of being enveloped in love and hugs and encouragement. But I'd like something more specific.
Okay. All right, great. So if you could keep your eyes open, I'm just going to tune into your energy, and I'll give you some information.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on. And I actually think there's two things going on here. So I'll do what you asked first of all, which is to see your mom and your dad. And I'm actually seeing both of them there. And your mum was coming forward first, and then your dad sort of jumped ahead of her. So let's see what he's wanting to say. Well, I'll just tell you what he's showing me, and you can see if this makes sense to you, because it doesn't make any sense to me. But he's almost doing a mime of like horse riding or something, which is odd. So let me just see. Maybe that's the encouragement thing that you're sensing, you know, the forging forward and so on. Let's see. Did he have a good sense of humour, your dad? He's still there, Lisa?
Yes, I am. I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I'm on a different microphone tonight, and it takes a bit of getting used to. I was asking you, did he have a really good sense of humour?
My dad?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very dry.
Yeah, that seems to be what I'm picking up on. Really, all I'm picking up on with him so far is what you've already said, which is just encouragement. Before I look anymore, I want to ask a little bit more information about you, and I want to ask what you do. Do you do any spiritual practices yourself?
I haven't for years, but I have in the past. I've been through some development, but I haven't done any for years.
Okay, because all of those signs that you were talking about, the repeating numbers, and and all of that feeling enveloped by love and a sense of encouragement, I really felt like some of that has to do with encouraging you to do that again. It's really common for, I guess they call us light workers, to have that sequence of repeating numbers wherever we go. I get it all the time. I know lots of people who do, and it's kind of like a wake-up call, to get us to pay attention and focus on spiritual things. So let me just go back to the parents, which is what you're asking about, and see if I can pick up anything else. Well, so from your dad again, it's sort of encouragement to move forward, and also he's saying that it's almost like you believe that you can only do so much and you can only go so far, and it's an illusion. Right, how you feel blocked and how you limit yourself is an illusion, and it's just created in your own mind. And so it's sort of like what he keeps showing me pictures of horses and horse racing for some reason, but it's sort of like an analogy. And it's sort of like, or you could be like the horse that just bolts out of the gate and is the head of the, running as, fast and furiously. Or you could be the horse that just stops and eats the grass or whatever. And he's saying, that the only person that holds you back is you, and what holds you back is your lack of belief in yourself. And, he's sending you love and encouragement to help you overcome that, and also the understanding that he has of from where he's at, he can see that clearly. And, he's sort of like, well, this isn't a criticism. When he was alive, he had the same problem, and so do lots of us. But he's just wanting you to, I guess, reach your best potential. And it's not really an achievement thing. It's more like in terms of just having the happiest, most fulfilling life that you could possibly have. Don't hold yourself back from what you want and where you want to go.
Yes.
Because you can have it. And then I'm going to tune in to your mom, Ella, and see what she has to say. And look, again, it's a similar message, and like you said, you're picking up on this general air of encouragement, and she's just sort of adding to what he's already said, her own version of it, which says, and you know what, it's okay to want what you want and have what you want. It's like give yourself permission to have what makes you happy, because that's really what life is about. We are fed so much from our culture and actually from our parents when they're all alive, and we all do it to our kids. So many expectations about what we should be and how we should be. And, when we drive ourselves towards these expectations, but really if we could just let go of those and realize that what we're here to do is enjoy our lives, have joyful lives, make choices that make us happy. So she's just sort of like keeps patting her heart, and the message is about letting yourself have that, what gives you joy. Just giving you permission to have what gives you joy, and not to worry about what anyone else wants or what you think you could do that would make someone else happy. But this is your life and it's for you. And then finally, let's see if anyone else wants to step forward. Well, it's interesting because when I tune into your Florence, I feel that she's incarnated again. I feel like she's a baby somewhere right now, and but there's an interesting thread here, because it's sort of like every generation helps move the human race forward beyond where the previous generation was. And so, I guess by us all being positive, and by healing ourselves, and by letting go of what blocked and held the prior generation back, it creates new space for the new generation. And so that's really what I'm getting from her, is just this great joy at being back in the world. And it's sort of like, as a new baby in the world, with a new life in the world, it's like she's coming in not just with what she learned in her prior incarnation and all other incarnations, but also what everyone learned, and especially the people in her family. And so there's a sense of joy and gratitude that I'm getting from her. And again, I guess it's the same idea of encouragement that you're talking about. And so really, from all of them, it's just live your life from joy and give yourself permission to have and do what you want. And then the other part of it is, just examine the spiritual side of things. Examine the spiritual work that you've done in the past. Search inside your heart to see if that's something that you would like to rekindle, because my inkling is that all of these strings of numbers that you're seeing are wake-up calls from the divine to get you to pay attention to that. And by the way, I'm also sensing that there are some angels and spirit guides around you, so it's not just family members. There's definitely an angelic presence, and I feel like in a way it's the angelic presence that's orchestrating you to notice these strings of numbers everywhere. So seeing as we've got onto the angels, I'll just see if there's a message from them for you too. Well, they obviously have a really strong message of love and support also. But one of the things I was hearing is that you do have the capability yourself to connect with the spiritual realm, to tune into the angels, and to help open other people's awareness up. So many.
I would love nothing more than to do that, and I look for direction in further developing, because that is something that has always been in my heart, and I hope that I can pursue that.
Yeah, and we've hit the nail on the head then, because whenever there's something that it's always been in your heart, and then that's the right path for you, because you feel it inside yourself. So, well, if you want to write to me separately at my email address, info@drlesleyphillips.com, we can definitely talk some more. But I do feel that we're on track with that. And the other thing I was going to say is that so many people in our world today are so lost and so disconnected. And, it's really important that as many of us who, are receiving the wake-up call and who are able to, work in this way, that we do it, because it's who we are. Really, we are spirit. We've lost sight of who we are. We've lost sight of the love. We've lost sight of the abundance.
Yes.
We've lost sight of it all.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Lesley.
You're very welcome, Lisa, and please do connect with me later on, and I'd love to talk to you.
I look forward to being in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you again, and have a nice evening.
You too. Bye for now. Okay, so that was Lisa, and it's almost taken us to the top of the hour, so I'm going to wrap the show up in the next few minutes. I haven't decided what the show next week is going to be about, so I would encourage, if you have any suggestions, any special requests, write to me at info@drlesleyphillips.com. INFO at I don't know why I'm spelling that. I should just spell my name, shouldn't I? It's LESLEYPHILLIPS. So info@drlesleyphillips.com. So write in, with questions and also with suggested topics. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.